and welcome, all you amazing people. I'm so grateful for each one of you and to each one of you for tuning in to yet another episode of You Are Human. Today, with me is someone who creates content for the food, of the food, from the food. Her amazing recipes are delicious and oh so yummy, and they leave me mouth-watering all the time. She is a Swiss born and has been brought up in Kenya. And she's taken it as her own responsibility to not just educate people about Swahili food, but to also ensure that we all have Swahili food in our daily meals. Please welcome Vanessa.
Thank you. What a lovely introduction.
Karibu to my kabindi. Kibindi, Vanessa.
Yeah,
Ooh, I finally got it.
We've practiced.
Yes, we have, and I don't think I've done a fabulous job at it, but we can move ahead, right?
Definitely.
It is so amazing, right, that you speak Swahili.
I know it throws a lot of people off initially.
Yeah,
It does.
because when I had even Oliver Allen, and Oliver speaks Arabic so fluently, and then he was telling me, why didn't you get Vanessa? I was like, no, she is, she's there to be on my show very soon.
Yeah.
But how was it coming to Oman and people seeing you or listening to you speak Swahili? How was it? Was it difficult for them to comprehend? They'd be like, oh, okay, the video and audio, they don't match.
Yeah, initially, there was even people who are like, that's definitely not her talking. It's been dubbed over. We had comments like that. And people were like, there's no way this white girl is speaking Swahili like that.
Yeah.
Why? They were so confused. Some people were really happy about it. They were like, it's amazing,
right.
to
see so many different reactions.
Yeah. So for me, it didn't feel, it's because Swahili, I learned Swahili before. We actually call it Kiswahili, by the way. Okay. So Swahili is the tribe and Kiswahili is the language.
It's the language, okay.
So I learned Kiswahili before I learned English. Surprise, surprise. So for me, it just felt like I never saw the big deal. I still don't see the big deal until I see another white person kind of speaking Kiswahili, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It shocks me.
Right.
Then I have to remind myself, look in the mirror, girl. You are kind of in the same group.
Yes.
But yeah, so I love that though. I love catching people by surprise.
Right.
Yeah, especially when they talk about you or something in Kiswahili, not expecting you to know it.
Yes.
And then you respond.
Yeah.
It just makes my life happy.
It's like, I know what you're talking about.
I know what you say. Yeah, because then I'll be like, you give them a proper response and you make sure you've used the proper village Kiswahili that you know. And that really throws people off.
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
fun.
Yes, it is.
I love it. Yeah.
How was it growing up in Kenya? Because you were born in Switzerland and then you moved to Kenya. And I'm sure even for people who are living in Kenya, it would be so difficult to see them and a surprise to see you, in their place. So how was it all about?
So I think because I grew up in a small community, Mombasa is now a city, but at the time it was really tiny. And everybody kind of knows everybody. And especially where I grew up, we had 2 villages. So they kind of got used to seeing me. When I moved with my mom to Kenya, I was practically still in diapers.
Ooh.
So, for me, it was... It's all I can really know. I don't really have much of a recollection of Switzerland.
Right.
It's more Kenya. If I look back at my childhood, I see myself barefoot running around, playing with, I had a few toys, but we used to play more with like boxes, like Omo, detergent boxes, and Blue Band, which would be a margarine tin. It was tins at the time. So that's the recollection I have, playing with tires. Using old slippers to make wheels for cars. That's what I remember. So I don't remember much of Switzerland. Yeah.
Offline, we were just having a conversation and you were talking about how you were in a Kenyan school.
Yes.
And then you moved to an Indian school.
Yes.
Can you just elaborate more on that for the audiences? Because it was one hell of a story for me.
So when obviously my mom remarried a Kenyan, so my stepfather is Kenyan, and they felt like it was a good idea to put me in an all Kenyan school because, you're in Kenya, you want to integrate into the community.
Right.
So that seemed like a good idea at the time. And so they sent me to the Kenyan schooling system. for my early years and primary. So obviously in the early years, there was a point where I didn't speak any English at all because I'd started speaking German as a little baby or a little child, and then it went to Kiswahili. So I learned English in school. So there's a period
Wow.
where it was quite sketchy, looked quite funny. Like, why is this white kid not speaking any English?
Yes.
So there was that funny time. When I got to the end of primary, my mom thought, okay, I think I should move her to a better school, where there's GCE and she can learn computers and stuff. And so she put me in an Indian school, which was a complete culture shock for me.
Right.
Completely, Kenyan schools are very strict, very, very strict. Your uniform has to be on point. Your shoes better be polished and your socks need to be rolled up. Then you check into the Indian school where the socks are rolled down, shirts are tucked out, and people don't stand up when they answer questions in class. I found that out the hard way. So I felt like I was a laughing stock for most of the time because I was so I felt backward, honestly. I was not cool by any means, in any way, shape, or form. I was not one of the cool ones. It was so embarrassing.
How is it being with your batchmates? Like, what kind of attention, good or bad, you received from, say, maybe the male gender and the female gender?
So obviously when you're the minority, it will always come with its good and bad.
Yes.
I never had trouble with the boys because I was pretty much one of the boys. I liked hanging out with boys more.
Right.
I did struggle with the girls a bit, to be honest. There were some girls I formed amazing friendships with, and we're friends to this date.
Wow.
Actually, I have a friend who we were in like kindergarten together.
Wow.
Lucy, and we're still friends today. So
amazing.
I have some strong friendships. Nyawera from school as well. We're still friends today. But there is a group of girls who weren't too happy, when you get attention, when you're different, when you have the soft hair or a light skin or something. And I never understood. It just never made sense. Yeah. You grow older, you kind of see what they have to deal with. Then it makes sense where that came from.
Yes.
So, you forgive, forget, and move on. And be happy with life.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you live most of your growing years feeling like, where do I belong? Or, feeling that, what is my identity? Did you have these questions?
100%. And for me, I think it was even more amplified because my stepfather is Black, my mom is white, and my sisters are biracial.
Right.
And my stepfather had a daughter from a previous marriage who's also Black. She's completely Kenya, Christina. So we were very blended, blended family. Yeah. You noticed it. It was very strong when the white community kind of ostracized us a bit, I feel. So I never had white friends. I think there was only one friend who was half Swiss and half Baluchi. That's the only kind of white friend I had as a little child. So I definitely noticed it growing up, and it's a bit like being biracial.
Right.
Biracial kids they don't know, should we identify more the white side or the Black side? Where do we belong? So I kind of was put in that equation without even being biracial myself. But you learn to accept it. I grew up with so many different cultural influences. My stepfather is from a community called Kikuyu.
Okay.
So in Kenya, there's a lot of tribes.
Yeah, right.
So he's from the Kikuyu community. So our holidays were up country, going to the river, fetching water, going to the land, working the land, having cows. That was the life. So, in Mombasa, you're walking.
Straight from the movies.
Yeah. I should have. It's a bit like the white Maasai, but here comes Vanessa. So it was quite funny. But yeah, like I said, there was a lot of cringeworthy moments growing up. Like walking to school where you're waving at tourist buses, hoping they'll throw sweets at you or something. So there was a lot of cringe-worthy moments growing up. But I look back and they make me smile today.
Yes, absolutely. And you even mentioned that in your, then for college or for your higher education, you went back to Switzerland.
I did.
So you did live, maybe your childhood, your growing years in Kenya, and then you went to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Did you feel, do you still feel that you're more rooted in Kenya? Do you relate more to that culture? Or did you go back to Switzerland and feel, no, this is where I belong?
No. So when I went to Switzerland, obviously my accent's very Kenyan. extremely Kenyan. And I went to Switzerland and I didn't speak German because my mom just never spoke to us in German. It's when your husband speaks English and you speak, it's very hard for you to speak to the kids. So I really admire families or parents who are able to teach their kids a second language.
Right.
So we grew up not knowing German. And we knew the basics, the hello, my name is.
Yes.
You can't really get far with that.
Yes.
So moving there, I definitely felt different. I only lasted 3 years in Switzerland and I was like, sayonara. I went back to Kenya. I couldn't. I just, Kenyans are so warm and the culture in Switzerland and the people, very different, very different. Right. So I did not last personally. I gave up and I went back. Yeah.
And it's so fascinating how our cultures are so similar, because when I was going through your website and you talk about the food dishes, the names of the food dishes, and it says palau, biryani, chapati, samosa, and they were such Indian names as well. So I just feel it's so fascinating how our cultures are so intertwined and so related. There's so many similarities. So how did this come alive? Like, when did you think of, okay, I need to start, talking about Swahili food? Because what I see is what you're doing is you're not just preserving a culture, because when you talk about the food, when the food lives longer, that means a culture is still alive, right? Yes. So you're not just trying to preserve a culture, but you're also expanding it to, introducing it to other cultures.
Yes.
People who don't know about Swahili food, you're taking it there. Yeah. So I feel like whatever you're doing is amazing, because you're taking the culture forward. So how did that happen? Like, you just thought one day, okay, let me talk about Swahili food.
No, so it actually happened very organically, I would say. When I had my daughter, I needed to do something with my life. And so initially I had a consultancy firm called Dreamcatcher, and we closed that when I had the baby because I wanted to just give my time to her. But when she turned 3 and she started nursery, I was like, what am I doing with my life now? I couldn't, I was depressed pretty much. So then I started a catering. I was always good at food from a young age. Wow. I had, especially near one of my friends to this day, she would always have her lists of, can you bring this for lunch tomorrow so I can have some? So I always loved cooking. I loved cooking for the family. I loved Swahili food. So my mom couldn't cook it. So I had to step up and cook it if I wanted to have what I liked. And so when I started the catering company, I did what I know. I don't know how to do other
anything
things.
Else.
That's what I know how to do. Wow. That's what I grew up learning, because I learned from, different Swahili moms and moms in the village. So that's what I know. So for me, it felt natural. I was like, okay, I'll do biryani and I'll do this and that. And the clients loved it. And so that's actually how the book came out. The first book, they were like, can we please have the recipe for your mahamri? They're amazing. Yes. Can we have a recipe for the chapatis? They're phenomenal. Yeah. And so I just started writing recipes for my clients and my close family, because my mother-in-law would also ask for recipes.
Right.
That's when you really know,
right. Yeah, I'm doing something right.
I'm doing something right. My mother-in-law wants my biryani recipe. I've made it. Yeah.
It's like the final approval. It's
it's a big thing. So then what happened? So it just started naturally. So when I wrote my book, Swahili Food Made Easy, which is available on Amazon.
I'll put the links below, guys.
Check the links. So I just decided, okay, I need to get people to know about the book. So then I started posting pictures of the book, recipes in the book. And that's how and then, people would be like, hey, can you make a tutorial for this? Can you film? So it just,
once you start, then it just moves forward.
It just grew organically. And I listened to I have people who were with me from the start, and I would just listen to them, take their guidance and just roll with it. Obviously I was scared though, being white, you're like, what authority do I have to
talk about Swahili food?
Yeah, but back then when I was doing it, even getting Swahili recipes back then, they were guarded secrets. You know, you'd have the aunties would never share it.
Really?
For some reason, I guess I was lovable. So they would, and I was very skinny. So they probably felt sorry for me. Like, she's not getting fed. So through that, they shared the secrets with me or the recipes with me. And I felt like they're going to pass on, and then this is going to be it. No one else is going to, have it. Right. And with the generation today, not very many are cooking, right? So I was like, no, I really, let me go ahead and do the videos. So I did. I was scared. I'll be honest. I was really scared, but I went ahead with it. And I'm so happy because I've had numerous people write in and tell me, you've really taught me things about my culture I didn't know. My mom passed away and never passed these recipes on. Thank you so much. I have the recipes. That gave me motivation to keep going.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful, right? When you said that they would guard their recipes.
Yes.
They would not give it away. So I think for women, and especially, in certain parts of the world, it's like their own wealth. It's their treasure.
Yeah.
And back in India, we would say nani ma ki recipe, like, my grandmother's recipe. Grandmother would give it to the grandchild to sit with her and tell her, take a book and write these recipes.
Yes.
So it is like a tradition, being passed on from one generation to the other. And it's so beautiful. And I feel in today's time where we're just ordering in, and there's nothing wrong in it. Come on, we all want to enjoy that.
Yeah.
But there is so much we can connect with our own grandmothers or our mothers, with this, because it's so beautiful. Because now when you say this, I feel my brother, he lives in New York and he loves to cook.
Yeah.
And he will ask the same recipe 100 times to my mother. And he will do a video call and he will tell my mom, and he'll keep the phone, while he's cooking, while he's chopping also.
Yeah.
So I will tell him, why didn't you keep things ready? And, and why can't you just write things down for yourself? But he's like, I like her watching me when I do it.
Aww.
And I just felt it's so pure and beautiful to, invest that time with your parents, just to, do something that is that they are so passionate about. Because my mother, all her life, that she's been passionate about one thing is cooking. Till date, when she cooks something, she'll be like, how's it? Like, she's just waiting to see our expressions. And we're like, it's delicious. And she'll be like, the satisfaction, the happiness on her face.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And it's so beautiful.
Because cooking for people, you're nurturing them.
You're nurturing, absolutely.
Yeah. It's so, I don't think there's any better gift I can offer my family than that. Being able to, and guess what? One day I won't be here, because we're not here forever.
True.
And when I'm long gone, one day my kids are going to eat a chapati or eat something and go, oh, I miss
Tastes
mom.
like mom.
Yeah,
I miss my mom,
And immediately you're whisked back to your childhood, or you're given memories, because the senses God's given us, the smell. Sometimes you might, a loved one has passed on and you smell a perfume and you remember them.
It just
and you get flashbacks. So it's the same with food, and food is so powerful like that.
Yeah.
That's what I love about food.
Wow, it's so beautiful. I love this conversation. There's even one more thing that you're super passionate about, which is something you've not talked about on your YouTube channel or on your social media, but you did discuss it with me.
Yes.
That's homeschooling. And your children have gone to the traditional schools. I would just say, because this is something that everyone sends their kids to, normal school. But you decided to homeschool your children. How did that happen?
Wow. So I feel like the traditional school wasn't offering especially my daughter, what she needed in terms of education. She sometimes, when she wouldn't understand a concept, they're moving so fast, and then she would get lost completely. Where sometimes she's very logical. She needs you to really sit. It has to make sense. You cannot teach my daughter something and say, that's it, that's how it is, end of story, move on to the next thing. She has to make the connection. Right. The puzzle has to fit.
Right, absolutely.
And I feel like that wasn't happening in the school sector. And my son as well. My son's very gifted. He's a 5-year-old that can read, spell, write, and do mental math already. So I feel like when everyone was learning shapes and stuff, he's already going, that's a quarter, that's a half, that's an eighth, Yes. So I felt like, again, the school system, the traditional school system was holding him back. Some countries structure it such that when a child really wants to learn and is quick,
they support in that direction.
I wasn't getting that where they were. So it just made sense to try it on our own. And the difference we saw with the kids was day and night completely. My daughter, I don't think she can see herself in traditional school
anymore.
Yeah.
How many years now that they're doing
a full year now?
A full year now.
A full year, yeah. Wow. So she was just, and then of course COVID happened. So I was like, oh, this is okay. Because then I don't have to worry about sending them and catching stuff.
Yes.
Because also when, with traditional school, especially here, I feel like every year my kids were hospitalized with a lung problem. Always. Always. Like they'd always have like this cold or flu from hell, I would call it. So there was a point like every year the kids would both be admitted into hospital. And I was like, what is going on? We've never experienced this.
Yeah.
And now for the first year and a half of my life, in Oman, my kids have not been sick. So, in a way, I'm just like, okay, that's another plus point for me. And a third thing that was a pushing factor for me is, especially for my daughter who's turning 12, the kids these days are not how they were back then.
Right.
They're very mature. They're all into social media. They're on screens most of the time. And I feel like the influences are not as positive anymore. There's a lot of bullying going on. Kids are really under pressure to keep up. And I would look at my little girl and I'd be like, no, you shouldn't be, you shouldn't have to feel like you need to Google how to be cooler or how to be, how to be more,
oh my God,
a better version of yourself at this age.
Right.
But that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So those 3 points were push factors for me. Is it easy? No, Absolutely. It is not easy because your time, you have to dedicate a lot of time. You can't teach when you have kids in different age groups. You can't teach them at the same time.
Yeah.
So you have to focus on one child, teach her. When she's doing something, I go to my son, I sit with him, and you just structure it like that. Right. But it is tough. It's a sacrifice.
Yes.
But it's not forever.
Yeah.
It's again another gift you can give your children.
And there's still so much bonding with the kids. There's so much time that you give to kids. Yeah. And I would say that's wonderful because I know for the fact people, they are tired. Again, I wouldn't try to judge them, but I'm just saying that parents, they want to send the kids away because they're just so tired, and they want to do things for themselves. And here you are actually giving more of your time to your kids. So that's wonderful.
Yeah. But there's something I've noticed though, and I mean, we've all been there where it's so much easier to hand an iPad to your child and get them to shut up in a corner while you scroll the internet like a zombie or something. Yeah. That is the easy way. But in the long run, you will notice changes in your child that are not okay. You will notice short tempers. You'll notice your kids are getting angry more. They're getting frustrated more. And they're not generally just not happy from within. And I know that is a direct link because of the screens. I'm 100% sure of it. And they start emulating kids they see on YouTube as well a lot. There's a direct link to that.
True.
So, nothing good comes easy. To get comfortable in the long run, you have to get uncomfortable.
That's true.
It's very important. So the time you are investing, and look at your kids like an investment, the time you're investing in them now is going to bear the fruits later on. And it makes a big difference. And I've seen it personally happen, like with me. I'm very strict when it comes to screen time now. Even when my husband is tired, I'm like, you're not handing your screen to the kids. I'll tell my son, go play with your Lego, go play with your trains. I'll tell my daughter, read a book or do some sewing or write a recipe or try a recipe just to keep them off the screens.
Yes.
And I honestly feel like it makes a huge, huge difference.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough though, as a mom, you want to have your own free time.
Yeah, you need a break as well.
You want to Netflix and chill. But
do you do that? Do you Netflix and chill?
Sometimes in the evenings, but half the time, when I sit with my husband,
you're off to bed.
He knows in 10 minutes, this one's going to fall asleep on the couch. Yeah. It's standard procedure. He's used to it. I tell him, look, even if I fall asleep on the couch, at least I'm snuggled up next to you, and I feel nice snuggling up next to him. So that's kind of my downtime. Yeah. But you know what? It's not, like I said, it's not forever. You don't make kids to constantly have your own alone time.
That's true.
If that's how it is, then there's really, kids are not a bag you can just put in the cupboard and pull out when you feel like pulling them out, and showcase them and do beautiful Instagram family pictures and then get back to your life. That's not what we see, unfortunately. Yeah, that's not what you have them for. If your child's having behavioral issues, how much screen time are they getting? Are you spending time with them, or is a nanny spending a lot of time with them? Yeah. Just look at these things, and sometimes it hurts to look within and you feel terrible, but it's never too late to change.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So even in our Vedic philosophy, like in the Vedic culture, like back in the days, in the Vedic times, the child for the first 7 or 8 years has to live with the family, and then would be sent to a gurukul in the ashram, where the guru is there to teach the children. But for those years, parents are teaching the children.
They're crucial.
I mean, and there have been times we were traveling, we were in Thailand, I remember my parents and I, and there were kids there. And I was like, oh, what school is your kid? And he said, he's not going to school. And he was 5. Like, we were teaching him at home. And I was like, oh, because in India, and that time I was living in Dubai, I was actually seeing parents registering the child while the kid is still in the womb.
Yes.
Because there's so much competition. It's like, no, my child should get a seat. Like, oh, since 3, at the age of 3, you're sending your kid to a school.
Yeah.
And the Australian couple, they were like, so what are the parents doing? They don't teach anything at home. And that really hit me hard.
Yeah.
That this is what you're supposed to do. And what you rightly said, that kids are not like a bag, because having a child is like a 20-year minimum, 20-year project, isn't it?
Yes.
So you have to be
longer
committed.
these days, apparently.
Yeah, look at my parents. I live with my parents. So
but you're looking after them, though. Yeah, but you're looking after them. So, and that's another big thing.
Yeah.
Kids these days, they move out and it's like, bye mom, bye dad. That's it. And then you find these parents in an old age all by themselves.
That's awful.
Or they're shipped into an old people's home.
But that also speaks a lot about how, I wouldn't say this is always the parents' fault, but it even talks about how you've brought up your child, how much attention you've given.
Yes.
Because what you give is what you're going to get back.
Yeah, family is important, but it's also, they see you. How are you as a parent with your parents?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
for us, my husband and I, thank God we are on the same wave pattern with this one. We really respect and value our parents, and we both have talked openly about it. And we know when our parents get to an age where they cannot manage on their own, they have to move in with us.
Yes.
And it's something we knew from the get-go. It's not going to be a deal breaker for any of us, So when we're looking at our forever home, we're actually thinking like, okay, we need to buy something that has enough land for an outhouse for the parents.
Wow.
That's how we think. Yeah, that's how we think, because we don't want to. This parent has dedicated their life
everything, right? They've done for us.
They've sacrificed so much, and then you just abandon them. Yes. And so for us, it's definitely in our plan.
Yeah.
And I think it's how we were brought up.
Yes.
I was brought up in a very tight-knit family, and it makes a big difference. My siblings and I, although we're different, we might be different shades of, different colors, but we are so tight-knit.
And maybe even aligned in your thinking as well, and your values.
Yes, and it's the same. So at least for us, we'll probably all be fighting who gets to keep mom.
I think that's the best situation to be in, and I would say kudos to your parents for what great job that they have done in raising your kids this way. I would just like to know, what are the myths? Because there's so many myths related to homeschooling, and because you are practicing it. So it's more of a practical answer, I'm sure I'm going to get from you. Normally people have this, misconception that kids who are, from a homeschool, they're not good at socializing, or what's going to be, their future. Would they be enrolled in a university? What about their degrees? What about their certificates? So according to you, what are the advantages and disadvantages, number one? And what are the myths? Because I'm sure when you talk to your friends, that, oh, you're homeschooling. They're like, what are the kind of questions that, they hit you with? And you're like, no, this is not how it is.
Yeah, no. So first, the questions I get, they're like, oh my God, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I can't even do homework with my child. How do you manage? Where do you find me time? Those are the kind of questions that come. So I'll tackle on the social aspect first. So in today's time, unless you're living in a village somewhere with no kids around, or you're on a mountain somewhere, there's really no excuse. I mean, there's so many extracurricular activities you can enroll your child in. And because you're saving a lot of money when you homeschool, so there's really no reason to not sign them up for sports activities. So football clubs. My kids love tennis, so they do tennis. They can do music. There's so many options for them to socialize with other kids, or they go to playgrounds, they meet other kids. So that is kind of, I say there's really no excuse for that anymore. One good thing is, though, they don't have distractions. In class, there's always distractions, notes being passed, and God knows what else being passed. So there's no distractions. That eliminates the distractions. You're able to really teach something to your child and go, teach me what I just taught you.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. I'll tell my daughter,
Were
I'm
you
like,
paying attention? Let me test you.
I'm like, okay, so can you tell me how to do the percentages? Teach me like I'm a student. And so that also is another way to make
it's more
stuff.
like a role play than they become a teacher.
So I make my kids the teacher and they teach it. Then I know, okay, they grasped it. We're moving on to the next thing. So in doing so, you know, you're not moving to a new topic without the kids grasping that topic. So that's eliminated, right?
Wow.
In terms of university, if you go onto Harvard's website, you will see it's written there. They even Stanford, they accept homeschooled students and they actually love homeschooled students. Why? Because homeschooled students know how to self-manage, okay? They know how to learn on their own. They can manage their time well, you know, so they don't go to university and they're like, whoop, how do I do? Because they've been doing it, you know? And one big thing about homeschooling, especially when your child is older, is you try and teach them to self-learn. You know, so like my daughter, certain subjects like geography and English, she'll self-learn. It's only when she hits a snag that when she's not able to understand something and she can't find the answer on the internet, because now she's learning research.
Wow.
You know, she has to learn how to research. Like if she's doing global warming, she has to look online how to find, find different videos and different articles on global warming. If she doesn't understand something, she'll come to me then, which it becomes easy in the long run, the older they get.
Yes. And she's only 6, mashallah.
No, my son is 6. My daughter is,
12,
she's going to be 12. The 6-year-old, getting him to sit down, you have to be very playful with him and, you know, have like set challenges for him. He likes challenges. Then he's able to get the stuff out of the way more. And if honestly, like with him, 2 hours a day is more than enough. To do his English. We focus on English and math right now. So 2 hours is more than enough for him. And the rest of the time, I engage him in play. So the Legos, painting, give him cornstarch mixed water. So he does stuff like that, Play-Doh.
Wow.
Let him be creative.
Yes.
I feel like you learn so much more and spend time outdoors. Right now it's an oven. But in the evenings, you can manage somehow. So spend time outdoors. I feel like those lessons you can't put a price on that.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the best kind of learning happens when you're enjoying it and when, it's all fun and play.
Yes.
You get to learn more and you remember it for a longer period of time.
Yes.
This process of homeschooling, because you went to a traditional school.
Yes.
Now, what are the things that you have learned to unlearn in this last 1.5 years?
Well, first of all, for me, the traditional school, especially the Kenyan school, it was based on memorizing. It was like, you have to just memorize all like with math, memorize everything, the concept. So the puzzle didn't fit in. Because it was always just, we called it cramming. So it was always just look at you're doing chemistry, biology, you're just memorizing everything. It doesn't. So now, like with my daughter, when I do science, we actually bought a human form, a figure. And I'm like, right, so this is the lungs, this is how the heart goes behind, it's encased here. And she sees the visual of it and understands why each piece goes in there. So I keep referring to the puzzle, but that's how I look at how I'm teaching my kids. The puzzle pieces have to fit. So I love that now that she doesn't have to. Of course, you're going to memorize multiplications. There's some things there's no way around. There's no easy way. But for the most part, she'll be able to explain because she's really understood. And I feel like that's invaluable.
Because that's what we want as an outcome, right?
Yes,
that the kid has to understand that. So, we normally, when we are friends, when we have a conversation, we just say that our education system has tested our memory, does not tested our intellect.
Exactly.
It does not push us to, use our intellect and to think why, go deeper into it. We're just memorizing. And people who came fast, in school, people who were like topping, today I would not see, they're not great orators or great people to have a conversation with. Because they haven't, I wouldn't say all of them, but most of them. Majority of them.
Yeah. And the thing is also what I noticed when I look back at people I went to school with, the brilliant minds, the ones who just would, the photographic memory crowd that looks at something and it's in there. A lot of them ended up not being street smart. And not making good life decisions and just not not making it much further in life
Right.
because they're lacking that very important skill, which is called being street smart.
Right.
Homeschooled kids, I feel like they end up being very street smart. And that's another important aspect. And they're quite social. I haven't met a homeschool child who is shy and withdrawn. They're quite well spoken, and they will challenge you. They will challenge you. Wow. Yes. So
I think that's what a lot of people fear. That's what they're like, no, please just send them to a traditional school and send them to tuition teachers because I don't want to look stupid in front of my child.
So that's it. Sometimes it's even for me, my daughter will have a concept and she's like, what's this? And you're like, just give me a minute. I need to respond to this WhatsApp. You're on Google. Because you're like, wait, what? I don't know what that is. Oh, Lord. And you didn't prepare before. Because sometimes in the evening, I'll try and read up quickly to avoid that happening. But now it's gotten to a point I'm like, you know what? I actually don't know. Let's find out together. Because I'm like, it's okay to not know.
Yeah.
I like to teach my kids that it's fine. You can't know everything and that's okay.
True. That's true. It's okay.
So just say, let me try and research that and get back to you. So that's what we do.
Because that also teaches the child that it's okay to not know everything. Yeah. Because if, as a mother, if you admit it in front of them, they learn, right?
Yes,
they learn from you and they think, okay, it's fine to not know everything. And there's no that pressure.
Yeah.
No, I need to know everything.
That's the thing. And I feel at the traditional school, there's also a lot of pressure. In a way, it's good because there is some competition.
Right.
So they kind of try to compete. But in today's schooling system, kids are given trophies just for participating.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you took part. Here you go. Well done. Woohoo. Whereas when you're homeschooled, that's eliminated. Yes. That's gone. And like the system that I do with my kids is called Woolsey. First of all, the school is called Woolsey Hall in Oxford. And they give you all the books and they give you the lessons. You log on online and you get the lessons every day.
Wow.
So at the end of every 3 weeks, she has an assignment she has to do, like a test. So, and the tests, you send them in and they're marked in the UK by teachers and they send them back.
Wow.
So then if she doesn't get a certain score, she's like, it bugs her. Yeah. And then she tries to do better.
Right.
So in that way, at least she's competing to be the better version of herself.
Yeah. She's not
and I like that.
I think that's how it should be, because we have just created a system where we're comparing one child to another. And a lot of parents also do that. Yeah. And I think that is not what anybody should do. And for Father's Day podcast, I had my dad on the show. And when I asked him to, give a message, and that's what he said, please do not compare your child to anybody else. And I think that is so important. And I've seen that in my own life. My dad and my mom, they would never compare me with somebody else. Yes, they would say that, oh, we think you can push forward and you can grow more. Yeah. But their daughter came first, that their son got like 90%. Why did you get 60%? No. My dad would be like, oh, wow, you did well, And even if I would fail, he would be like, it's okay if you fail this time. Next time you will win.
Yeah. What are you going to do different?
Time. Yeah. Yeah. And, my mom, it was just once when my mom, she was like, no, but you need to at least like scream at her or, sit with her. My dad is like, no, I'm a businessman. There are some seasons I fail. I don't achieve my goal financially. But in the next season, I cover it up. Yeah. So it's okay. Next time she'll definitely pass. And you won't believe I failed in math in 9th grade in the first semester. Yeah. And the second semester, I topped in the entire class, not just my class, but in the entire batch.
Amazing. Because your spirit wasn't broken.
Exactly. I wasn't like pushed down that, oh, you're dumb. And, because I know a lot of people use these words to talk to their kids. One thing I want to know that how important is it to choose the right kind of language when you're talking to your kids?
It is so crucial because understand something. If you tell somebody they're a donkey and you keep calling them that, they will believe they're a donkey.
Yeah.
It's the same. If somebody's going to go for a sports competition and they're not pumped up, hyped up and feel like they have a chance, they're not going to excel. They're not going to give it their best. So that's why you find parents like, you can do this. I can't wait for you. I'm at the finish line.
Yes.
So imagine if a parent goes, well, just give it your best. I mean, whatever happens, happens, at least you're in the race kind of thing.
Right.
You have to also hype up your child.
Yeah.
So your words as a parent can make or break your child.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of kids, a lot of adults today with deep-rooted issues stem from their parents.
True.
And you find adults who are trying so hard to get their father's approval and father's pat on the back. But some fathers are so cold and withdrawn and they're not giving it. And you find these poor adults trying everything like, hey, Dad.
To prove it to their...
Yeah. And it's so heartbreaking to see,
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to end up having that effect. That's not to say we don't make mistakes going.
Yes.
We do. I've had to apologize to my kids numerous times. Sometimes I just lose the plot and I just yell because I've probably stepped on a Lego or something like that. Yeah. But then I'll calm down and I'll sit down and I was like, do you think mom reacted the right way? And they're like, nope, you definitely didn't react. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm really sorry. What strategies do you think I should use to calm down next time? And my son, he can't say the word supposed. He says supposed. He's like, you're supposed to breathe.
So cute.
It's so cute when he says it. You're supposed to breathe, mama. And, just calm down. So I'm like, you're right, So then the next time when he sees me like going up, he's like, mama, remember you're supposed to breathe? And I'm like, okay. And then you learn. Yeah. And I've learned so much from my kids. I really have. Yeah.
So beautiful.
So I feel like it's important. But like I said, nobody's perfect. As a parent, there is no manual.
True.
Okay? You're allowed to make mistakes. But how you recover from those mistakes is a huge lesson you're teaching your child.
Absolutely.
It's a huge, huge lesson because they're going to end up doing the same thing later on in life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is lovely. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you so much for breaking some myths, for actually giving direction to a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of parents are watching, a lot of children are watching. If you're a child, please tell your parent that you would want to opt for homeschooling. Mm-hmm. And thank you. Thank you. This was just so amazing that you shared so candidly about your personal practices and the way you were admitting, even the mistakes that you make, because I think that requires a lot of courage. And we all are human at the end and we all make mistakes. So thank you so much for this. I am so happy, that you did this. To end, because she's Swahili food, so we can't let her go without a food recipe or something related to food. So we are so delighted that you are human, that Vanessa has created something specially for this episode.
Yes.
Should we get that?
Yeah, let's get it.
Okay.
It's called vitumbua. So I made them this morning. Yeah, vitumbua. And it's just you soak.
Smells amazing.
Cardamom. So you soak this rice overnight so that it softens and then it gets rid of excess starch, because you don't want starch when you're making vitumbua. It'll just clump up together and be gloopy. So we're not trying to make anything gloopy.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you. And so you soak them overnight and then you blend them with cardamom. So you can smell the cardamom. Coconut milk, and you put some yeast and you let it rise, and then you add enough sugar to your taste buds and then cook it.
And we can add some toppings on it.
So on my page, some people have made some recommendations. I would say they're like, try and have it with Kraft cheese.
Ooh, I love.
We don't have any Kraft cheese. I don't know what we have.
I don't have it at home. I have ketchup.
We're gonna try.
Mama, do we have any chutneys at home? Chutney?
Ketchup?
No. Ketchup. We only have ketchup.
We can try it with ketchup. Let's try it with ketchup.
Okay. Okay, so we have tomato sauce. It's not ketchup. There's a difference. Sorry for my, lack of knowledge. No. And we have the Indian achar. Mm-hmm. So what do you think? What should we try it with?
I think I'll try achar first.
With the achar? Do you want the chili or?
Sure.
Or do you just
see the texture?
Want a piece of the chili, or do you want?
It depends how chili will I die.
I don't know.
You see me sweating here. They're like, oh, we'll just dip it on top. Look, and you can see it's got a sieve-like texture there. Mm-hmm. That's the rice.
Alrighty.
So maybe try it.
I'm going to try it just raw first.
Yeah. I'm going to go for the chili. It's nice and soft.
So soft.
Mm-hmm. Like a cloud.
Yummy, guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it too spicy for you?
Not at all.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
You can get more? I'm gonna try a different one. Oh, it's nice though. Did your mom make that?
I think so.
My mom is awesome. She's gonna be seeing a lot of me.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. She's gonna be happy to have you. Tastes better with what?
Try it with the tomato.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I've never tried that. We would have tried Kraft cheese, as one of the Swahili food fam, they call them, had suggested, but we don't have Kraft.
Yeah, we don't have Kraft. So
I can't report back on how good it is, but I would imagine Nutella would also be really good.
Yeah.
Try that
ice cream on it.
Ice cream might work as well, yeah. Especially when you warm them a bit and you have an ice cream. Kind of like jalebi. I like jalebi with ice cream.
Okay. So we are going to go talk more about food. Sorry, guys. Food in my mouth. I'll leave you guys with whatever.
Yeah.
I hope you guys like the episode today. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If it has inspired you, even slightly, then please like, share, and comment. See you on the next one. Until then, remember, our time is limited. Let's make the most of it.
Hi, I am Vanessa Mehri, and you are watching the show You Are Human. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and get the word out there.
Keep watching You Are Human on YouTube and listen to these amazing conversations on Spotify and other audio platforms.